In this video, we're going to take a look at how to deploy a virtual cluster using Terraform and the Helm provider. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll start out by checking out the docs and how to deploy a vCluster. If you look down here, there's a couple of options. We can use the vCluster CLI, Helm, kubectl, or Terraform. I haven't shown anything about Terraform yet, so let's go ahead and try deploy this with Terraform. So here's the information that you'll actually need for your provider in your main.tf. Here's a custom configuration that you can use that actually shows you how to select the vCluster YAML. And we're just using the vCluster YAML from the new version 0.20. And what we'll be doing is deploying based off of that. So you can also connect to it using the vCluster CLI. This is how to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. So here we're going to create a main.tf and we're going to create a vCluster YAML. And then we're going to open both of those files and then we'll populate them with the information that we need. So we'll open this in the side so that we can see both of them. And then we'll go ahead and we'll copy paste the information that we need for the provider. And this just has a provider, the resources, it's saying which version we want to deploy, and then it's specifying where the values file is for Helm. And then over on the values file, what we're doing is kind of a basic configuration. We're enabling ingress. We're syncing ingresses to the base cluster. And then what we'll do is Terraform init to go ahead and get that provider and everything configured and set up. And then we'll go ahead and run plan just to see what's going to happen once we deploy this. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead and make sure that there's no vClusters running, that we don't have anything orphaned from when we created them before. And then we'll do Terraform apply. Now what this is going to do is go ahead and deploy the virtual cluster for us. It's using our kube config, which is going to be on the host cluster, not the vCluster. So we're going to be deploying this vCluster into the host cluster. And now what we can see is that we went ahead and deployed that cluster. So vCluster list and it's Terraform-vCluster. Let's go ahead and connect to it and get that kube config so that we can go ahead and interact with it. So we're going to use the vCluster CLI command, vCluster connect Terraform vCluster update current equals false. That way we're not overwriting our current kube config and we're telling it which server to connect to. Once we've done this, it'll download the kube config and then we can run the command that is shown in the list there. We ls just to see that the kube config has been downloaded. So kubectl, specify the kube config YAML, get namespaces, and then we can see the namespaces that are within the virtual cluster. All right, let's go ahead and make some modifications to our virtual cluster. So what we'll do here is we will also add the from host ingress classes to be enabled true so that we can see the ingress class within the cluster itself. So this is just kind of showing you how you can update it and apply those updates. What we'll show after this is an example from our documentation. So we'll go into the docs and we're going to actually show real nodes, which is something that you may want to show or you may not want to show to your users. So by default, it's off. So what we're going to do is go ahead and copy this and we're going to go back over to VS Code. And then we're going to paste it in. And then what we'll do is we'll show what the nodes look like currently. So see if you can remember what the nodes show. Like right now, there's not going to be much information. So if we go kubectl using that kube config again, and then we say get nodes, what we can see is some basic information like the name and the status. We don't know what roles it has. We don't know much more than that. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and plan with Terraform to make sure that there's not anything that's going to break. And then we'll do a Terraform apply. And this will apply our updates to the virtual cluster. I've sped up the output there so that it's actually a little bit faster. But as soon as this is done, what we can do is we can do a get nodes again and see what's happening. Let's go kubectl, specify the kube config again and get nodes. And now we see a little bit more information. So now we know what roles there are, and we have a little bit more information about the node where this is running, which it's only running on VM3 right now. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick video about how to use Terraform and the Helm provider to deploy a virtual cluster. If you ever have any questions or anything, join us on slack.loft.sh. I'm Mike Peterson on there. You can reach out and ask any questions or just post in the vCluster channel. Everything that I'm showing here will be in GitHub, so there's a link in the description. You can click that, you can go see the YAML file, you can see the main.tf and all that, if you want to follow along. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time with a couple more vCluster tips, and let us know if you have any questions.